Hey everybody, and welcome back to another knitting podcast, another making podcast, although today is just going to be knitting. So I believe this is number 6, number 5 if you count like official podcasts, but my last video was what I knit all of last year. I'm just going to count that in. So this is the 6th video, and I have worked on a lot of little things. I finished a lot of little projects this January to mid-February, trying to get through scrap yarn, trying to actually commit myself to like small winter accessories. I was really fortunate to have a few weeks off at Christmas time, and I got a lot of knitting done during that time. And since then, it's been pretty busy working, and so my knitting since then has kind of gone down a little bit. And I'm also just on the tail end of a cold. I've been fighting this cold for like a couple of weeks now, and it just kind of sucks not being 100%. But we're getting there. Every day is like a tiny bit better, and that's just great. We love progress. So, first off, what I'm wearing, this is my Lakes pullover v-neck by Ozetta, and I made this in custom Woolen Mills, like the fingering, one single ply fingering held double. I did 2 strands of yarn because I didn't have any of the thicker yarn available in the store, so I just got like double the amount of like the thinner yarn and held it double, and I think that worked out just fine. I have been wearing this quite a bit, and I am noticing now it's pilling, but honestly not that much for it just being like a really natural wool. There's some like little bits, but it's like not even that bad. I really enjoyed this pattern. I knit it up pretty quickly because in the pattern they recommend a 5.5 millimeter needle. I didn't have a 5.5 millimeter needle, and I didn't really want to buy one just for this project, so I did end up doing first a gauge swatch in the 5 millimeter. And I mean, with a saddle construction like this, it's really easy to do a gauge swatch because you can just do one of your shoulders, and then that's your gauge swatch, and if it turns out, then you just continue knitting, which I really love. So I did do that on the 5 millimeter, and it hit gauge, which was great. So then I just continued, although I did not measure my length, like the stitch length, only like how many stitches wide per 10 centimeters. And as you can see, the sleeves are a tiny bit short. It doesn't really bug me that much having like a bracelet length. I think this is very practical because if I have like big long sleeves, then there's a lot of situations where like I wouldn't want to wear a sweater. But this I feel like I can actually wear like everywhere all the time because my sleeves aren't like getting into everything. And I can like, when I'm standing and I have my arms down, then it's like a really good length. So I guess it doesn't bother me that much, but if I did make it again, I would make the sleeves a little bit longer. And I'm gonna see if I can try and block them just to add like a few more centimeters of length, or even just like doing like a steam block, maybe that would even help. I'm really loving this color. This is my espresso sweater, and I'm already planning another sweater that I want to make also in like a really deep dark brown, because I'm just really in love with this color this year, honestly. Yeah, so other than the gauge or the needle size, I knit this exactly to pattern. Although I do believe I did make the collar or like the V-neck ribbing a little bit thicker than what it said, and I don't know if that's because of my needles. I also cannot remember if I did the ribbing in the recommended needle size or in the needle size like comparative to what I used, a smaller needle size. Like maybe I did this in a 4.5 and they recommended in a 5. I can't remember honestly, but I do remember getting to like the halfway point to turn around and me thinking like, this is not the like chunky collar that I was envisioning. So I did make it a little bit longer, which I like this more. This would be like the minimum, because for me this sweater had like a really thick chunky v-neck ribbing collar part, and yeah, this kind of turned out a little tiny bit smaller than I expected, but I still love it. I have considered going back, I mean not on the collar so much, but on the sleeves and just adding more. But when I was done this sweater, I was so excited about a different project that I immediately cast something else on with the scrap wool that I had. So I guess that's a good segue into my finished objects. And the first finished object that I have for this year, really, is a PetiteKnit accessory. I believe this is just the weekend headband. Weekend something in Danish. And I made it with my leftover yarn, which was perfect. And I do really like this pattern. I think I would like to make myself another one and maybe a bit thicker, because I think it's just a tiny bit like, it's on the border, it's borderline too slim. I did not actually have enough to finish it, so on the inside you can see I used a different wool to just like go the last quarter of the way. Although I am kind of glad that I did that, because this brown wool is really scratchy on my forehead, and this wool is a lot softer on my forehead. So whenever I wear it, I have to make sure that, like on the inside, I have to make sure it's going this way on my head so that the soft bit is on my forehead and the harder section is like in my hair. and then it works out fine. So maybe if I were to do this again, I would just do like the whole inside section. Like I would, how she constructs it is you kind of like go, you kind of go like around this way, or no, you go the other way technically. You go from the middle to the edge, to the other edge, and then back to the middle. I think I would start and finish with like a softer wool that's like nicer against my skin. Like this doesn't bother me at all, like even on my neck and everything, but on my face, it's just like so itchy. I do believe that I knit this to pattern maybe like 1 or 2 rows less on the outside than it should have been, because I ran out of my color that I was having on the outside and I didn't want this to be any more visible. Yeah, but this was like a really nice quick project, and it keeps my ears really warm, and I do actually really like it for when I'm walking. Last year, I believe, I did try and like make my own pattern. Like I'm pretty sure I saw this PetiteKnit pattern and I thought to myself, that is so easy. That's something that I can just come up with so easy by myself. And I even like looked at some toque recipes, not recipes, now I'm talking German. I looked at some instructions, patterns for toques to get the gauge, to see like how many stitches I would need to cast on for like what size needle. And I did it, and it ended up being like really loose and floppy, and just like not the same vibe. So I do think it was worth it to invest the like 4 or 5 euros to get this pattern, because This is, you know, it's just a small, simple accessory, but there are details in here which just makes it so much better than, you know, it's not just like a tube folded in on itself. It's a little bit more than that. So therefore I think it's worth it to invest in a pattern. Nothing more to say about this. I believe it was knit in size 4.5 millimeter needles, and I also held the yarn double. I held it double as well. So that's that. And then my next finished object, I started Christmas Day, and it was a gift from my father-in-law. I knit him a PetiteKnit zipper sweater man in a dark brown. I do have a couple balls of wool left over. I did it in Drops Nepal, which is very soft, and he really likes it. This was kind of nice because this is like a thick enough yarn just by itself for a 5 millimeter needle. Yeah, so I didn't get to casting it on before Christmas, and I believe like right before Christmas I was debating whether I should just cast it on and like give him like needles with like a couple rows of the collar on it, and then I decided nah, I'm just gonna like give him a box of yarn and tell him that I'll like rush to get this sweater done for him, which because I had time off at Christmas, I was able to get it done in like 3 weeks. I did it pretty quickly. It probably took as long for me to actually knit the sweater as for me to procrastinate and get the zipper in. So all in all, I think it took me just over a month, maybe a little less, like 2.5 weeks for the sweater, 1.5 weeks for the zipper. For like 2 days worth of work. Yeah, I will get a picture of that and pop that on the screen. And for that pattern, I also just did it totally according to pattern. I mean, it fits him pretty well, but I wouldn't make it any tighter than that. I feel like some of the PetiteKnit patterns, because the fit is just a lot different on the men's sweaters than the women's. Like the women's sweaters have so much positive ease, and the men's sweaters I think have just generally less positive ease. Like I did the sweater based off of his measurements, but it just seems like it fits so much smaller than what I would personally want, like if I were that size and like wanting a sweater for myself. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't care. He's just happy because he got a really nice sweater and it fits him, so he's happy. But I do remember last year, like last Christmas, I made my brother-in-law the same sweater, but for him, I held probably this thickness of yarn, also with a strand of the Drops alpaca, and that on a 5 millimeter needle. And I don't know what it was, like if just that thickness of yarn with the thick needle, but that sweater was just so much nicer fitted, and more fitted, nicer fitted meaning more oversized. There was a lot more positive ease on that one, which I think just makes it look like a bit more of a modern sweater. But anyways, moral of the story, I think if you're gonna knit your partner a men's sweater, like I think it looks good when they're nice and oversized. I like a big chunky sweater on a guy. And the next time I make my husband a sweater, I'm gonna make him one that's a little bigger, so that there's room for him. Yes. Anyways, nothing really to say much more about that sweater because I've made it like 6 times now, and I'm probably gonna end up making it again. eventually. So the next project that I have is actually from a very small creator, which I'm quite proud of, supporting a small pattern designer. My next project that I finished is by Elise Kim, and it's the Boston Blizzards hood knit version. She has a knit and a crochet version, and this is it. It's pretty cool. So it's a hood, but it also has like a cowl on the inside, and I gotta show you guys because it's actually, I really like this design. So you can have the cowl part on the inside. You can have it like up over your mouth, or you can fold it down and just have it like on your neck, and then you can have your hood off, or you can have your hood on. I think this is such an ingenious design. Like I really like this. I have been wanting to make myself a more bigger hood for a while, and I was kind of debating because lots of designers now are combining like hoods with scarves. So like the Alex scarf from Knitting for Olive, I do really like the design, but it's more like decorative, and I mean, I do really like it, of course, but this one is like very practical. And I was even thinking like I could just wear this when I go skiing with some like goggles, and it would be really cute. Yeah. So just a shout out to this pattern. I think it's great. And it was really good for using up scrap yarn. So for the hood, I used 1 strand of Drops Puna and 1 strand of brushed alpaca silk. And the alpaca silk is in like a really light green color, and the Drops Puna was in kind of like the gray beige color. I'll put the name on the screen or down below. And then the cowl, I used some Drops Lima, also just kind of like a browny grayish color, beige gray brown. And yeah, it's great. I did knit this totally according to pattern. I really like it with the fluff because I think it just makes it so much warmer. I did try and wear this when I was biking to work, and I put it under my bike helmet, and that ended up just being like a little too much material under my bike helmet. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but I think just for in the winter when I go on walks and it's really cold, this will be really nice. So yeah, I was really happy to actually get this done, and now I actually have some like proper knitted accessories for winter that will actually keep me warm and serve some purposes. Anyways, what's really cool about this pattern is she has the option for you to knit it in the round and then cut it afterwards. What do you call it again? I can't remember. She has the option to do that or to knit it flat, like back and forth. I ended up just knitting it flat. I don't know why, but that's what I did. And yeah, it's kind of like the typical, you make a rectangle and then you start going around the rectangle, but she does have, you know, like increases and decreases for like the head shaping and everything. And this has kind of got like, it's overlapped in the front and it just looks very finished. And there's like the inside part of the cowl, and then there's like the bottom ribbing, which is connected to that, and it's like quite a detailed pattern, which is really nice. And my husband has requested one, so I will be making another one of these sometime. I'm so happy right now because there's like a little bit of blue sky and it's very nice. So what did I finish next? I have been doing a lot of knitting flat lately, which is not like me, and I really don't like purling, but lately it just hasn't really bothered me that much, and I don't know why. I knit a baby blanket, kind of just a freehand pattern, and this is for my nephew, my first nephew. I am now an auntie, and I'm really happy about it. So just 3 days ago, my sister-in-law gave birth to her first child, and he's adorable. They live like 3 hours away though, so I haven't seen him yet, and also I'm like a little bit sick still, so I'm gonna wait until I'm totally healthy before I go and visit him for the first time and give him his blankie. For this blanket, I kind of wish that I just started at the base and knit like up to make a rectangle, because what I did, where did I start? I think I started here at this bottom corner, and I started with 5 stitches, and then I worked up from there, doing increases, like kind of raglan increases on the edges, with this like a little lacy design, which I just kind of came up with. I saw a picture of it on Pinterest and kind of like charts for the lace work, so I just kind of incorporated that into the blanket. So I knit increases up to a certain point here roughly, and then on the other side I like went around and did decreases, and I kept doing increases on this side until I got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna knit the other corner of my rectangle, and then I did decreases on both sides. The only thing is the corners are a little wonky. Like this is this is not a rectangle. And I did a really aggressive block on it, and I tried to make it as best as it could to like stay in shape. But of course, it's a baby knit for a newborn, and I wanted the parents to be able to put it in the washing machine without them thinking about it. So I made it like totally out of cotton, and cotton doesn't hold that well when you block it, so it's kind of just stayed at this really wonky shape. Yeah. So anyways, it's definitely a handmade baby knit, and I was really excited to get some of this blue cotton yarn out of my stash. I've had this for so long, and I'm kind of upset that it didn't use more than it did. I wish it would have taken up, wish it would have eaten up more yarn, but that's just how it is. So it's done. I think the only thing I want to maybe add is a little embroidery of his name in the corner. I think that would be really sweet, because it's like a really short name, so I can handle that. If it was like a really long name, then I wouldn't. But just like a short, cute name, I think is then fine. Oh, right, and then the wool that I used for this is Drops Loves You Cotton number 7, I believe. I can't remember. I'll put it down in the description. And yeah, I think I said even like in my last episode, like my last podcast episode, that I was going to this is like when I was new into summer knitting, and I was convinced that I was gonna like make myself a long cotton dress or something. I didn't do that, and so now it's turning into a blankie. So that is all of my finished objects. Now my whips. I'm really happy because I did finish some whips and I haven't started anything new in the last like week, which is pretty good. This winter I've had such a crazy cast on craze, and I've been more reasonable now. So I'll give you like a short progress update on a pair of socks that I've been working for a few months now. I'm just like really slowly going through them. But I did manage to finish the heel and I started on the foot. And these are my cow socks. I think it's called, oh, I can't remember the name. Yes, so this is Herding Cows socks by Stone Knits. And they're very cute little cows. I finished the heel. This is a German short row heel, which I haven't done before on like an actual pair of socks that I'm planning on wearing. But I'm curious to see like how they fit. Maybe I will like them, who knows? I usually do the other heel, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset. I usually do that. Yeah, so I have the first row of little cow faces on the foot. I think I need to do another 2 more repeats of the cows, and then I can do the toe and then cast off and then do another one. But this is just kind of a slow going project that I do sometimes. It's not really a good travel project because there's so many different cow colors, but we're slowly getting there. Maybe I'll have 1 sock done by the next episode. So that's a little progress update there. And then I cast on a different sweater a while ago. I can't remember when I cast it on. Maybe it was after I finished the sweater for my father-in-law and before I started some of these other accessories. Okay, so what I cast on latest is kind of just a blob on the needles right now. Oh, dropped a stitch. There we go. This is the Valerie blouse by PetiteKnit, and it's very difficult to show right now. I'm about to separate for the sleeves, I believe. But you can kind of see, this is the front of it, where it kind of, there's decreases and increases on both sides, and I guess there isn't really a button band, but the buttons kind of run diagonally down the chest, and that's that so far. Very difficult to see. I don't think it has a finished edge, but I'm not actually sure. I'll have to go back and read. Yeah, I'm kind of like in the middle of a row right now. It has a pretty interesting shoulder construction. Like here's a sleeve. So I think it looks pretty good, pretty sharp. And I cast this sweater on. I mean, I do really like the design. I was debating between this pattern by PetiteKnit and another pattern by a smaller knitwear designer, Emma Knits. And Emma Knits, she's had the clematis, I believe it's clematis sweater for a while. And it has this diagonal thing, but hers also has like a button band, and it's more of like a traditional like sweater shape, but then with the diagonal button band, which I think is really cool. And I don't know, I was like kind of a little unsure about whether I should support PetiteKnit or if I should support the smaller business, and like I wanted to support the smaller knitwear designer, but in the end I just like the design better, the PetiteKnit one. Like it was a blouse and it looked a bit more formal and less sweater-like. So that's why I ended up going with that one. I think if I wanted like a funky but kind of still chunky sweater, I would go for the other one. But this just looked more dainty, I guess. And it had like a lower, wider neckline. Yeah, I don't know, just something different. So I cast this on, and I'm really, really excited because this yarn I have had for so long. I have a ball here that I haven't used yet. It's called, well, it's from Linie, online, and it's the Linie 155 Supercool, and this is a merino wool extra fine superwash. I hope this doesn't pill like crazy. I bought this yarn, I bought 7 balls of it at a flea market. It was a Christmas flea market in Germany, and I ended up only paying €1 per ball, and I got 7 balls. And at the time, of course, I didn't have a plan for it. I just saw that they had like yarn for sale, and I got so excited, and I saw that I liked the color, so I just kind of bought it on a whim, and it's been in my yarn stash ever since. I have made attempts to matching this with a mohair. I also I bought a Drops brushed alpaca silk, and it came and it was like just totally the wrong color. And when I tried mixing it, like just knitting them together anyways to get a more marled look, I thought it looked so bad because the other green, it was like a darker cool tone green, and this is like a lighter, like a mid-tone warm tone, and then it just made this look yellow, and it wasn't good. So I was really happy to find a pattern with a smaller gauge that I actually liked, and this is great because this is 3 millimeters or 3.5 millimeters, I can't remember. I think 3.5, and it actually works out, which I'm happy about, because then I can actually use up this yarn and get it out of my stash. PetiteKnit also has a mohair version of this, which I do really, really like. So eventually I might do this sweater again with mohair, because that would be pretty cool. Yeah, and I guess the other issue I was having with finding a pattern for this yarn was I only had 7 balls of it, and I didn't know if I had the meterage. Like, I didn't think I had enough yarn to make a slightly oversized garment at such a small gauge, and that was like another reason why I picked this pattern, is because it has some negative ease, I believe, or like hardly any positive ease at least. It didn't need as much wool. Like if I knit, I was looking into making the Elizabeth blouse by PetiteKnit with like the collar, but I didn't have enough yarn for that. Like it wouldn't have worked out. So pretty fortunate to find this pattern, and I really like it. So now moving on to acquisitions. I didn't buy myself anything in the last few months, which I'm pretty pleased about, because I've actually made a minus in my stash now, or like I'm cutting down on my stash now without bringing more stuff in. Although I did get gifted this Christmas a single skein of Let Lope, and it's like such a cool, like, I don't even know how to describe this color, like pink and blue cotton candy mixed, and it's very, very pretty, and I'm not too sure what I want to do with this. I was thinking about making a headband, but this would be so scratchy on my forehead, so I know I can't do that. So I think I'm going to make a cowl. I think Let Lope is generally fine on my neck, and if it's a bigger, like a bit of an oversized cowl, then I think it would be fine. And also, I want to do like some crazy color work, like just a really cool detailed design. And if I have this then mixed with like a less scratchy yarn, I think then it would be really nice. But I gotta decide on the color, like maybe, well, I think this, if I mix this just with a white yarn, it would probably be enough contrast, but I'll have to see. Another thing is that I do have some, it's not the Let Lopey, it's like the thinner yarn from Istex. I can't remember what it's called, but there's like the Let Lopey and then there's the thinner one. And I do have almost a whole ball of the thinner one in like a gray tone, like a medium gray. I don't think those would look good together. So it's got to be either one or the other with white. And I'll put a picture on the screen of what I'm considering making. A lot of cowls from Mary P. Hunt. And one that I really love is the Fungus Among Us cowl. I think that would be pretty cool. And then there's also Sacropia cowl. I don't know how to say that. Sacropia. That one has like a moth motif on it, which is pretty cool. And then she does have some like dinosaur motifs, which I don't know if I really like them. There's like the owl nouveau, which I like the nouveau designs on the cowl, but I don't really love the owl. And then another one, what she has the dragon tail cowl, which I do kind of love the idea of that. But I would feel like kind of a nerd going around with like a dragon knitted thing. But maybe I should just do it anyways. I'm not sure. So she has some really, really cool and like really detailed cowls and like other knitted accessories. Like she has some scarves, some toques, some sweaters as well, and some mittens. Yeah. So probably gonna be working on this with a white, making a color work, or the gray yarn with white as color work. I'll have to do like a little swatch and see what looks good. But I also need to decide what pattern I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put them on the screen and then you can tell me in the comments what you think it looks cool. Or also, even better, if you have any recommendations on like a really cool, really intricate cowl motif and something that's not super traditional, like something with like a proper picture on it, that would be appreciated. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for staying around. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.